What the Hello everyone, welcome back to Rogers Reports. I'm your host with the most Aston Villa content on YouTube. You can call me Rogers. And today we are going to be reviewing what on earth just happened at Wembley as Villa lost 3-0 to Crystal Palace, and there is a lot to be said about this game. A little bit of a pre-warning before we get into this video. I want to make a couple of things very, very clear. I'm still a massive fan of Unai Emery. I still think that he should be at the club. What he's done for this club is absolutely ridiculous. What some of the players that I'm going to talk about today have done for this club are absolutely ridiculous. I'm forever grateful for the owners and Emery for taking us from 1 point above the relegation zone to where we are now. But football is all about progress, not complacency. So just bear that in mind. And also I want to say, what Glasner has done with Crystal Palace and those Crystal Palace fans, players, the team, the squad that they have, the atmosphere they've built around that club is absolutely magnificent. And let's not get anything twisted here. Although I do believe Aston Villa played terribly and were set up terribly and the selection was terrible and the subs were terrible, take nothing away from Crystal Palace. They were excellent. Mateta was like a man possessed, and I would love Villa to break the bank for him in the summer. I think he's an absolutely wonderful player. I think Eze's a wonderful player. I think Adam Wharton is probably, he has more for a potential than Declan Rice in my opinion. How he played yesterday, shutting down Tielemans and Kamara, was insane. Guehi, brilliant. Ismaila Sarr always punishes Villa and did again. Brilliant. So take nothing away from Palace, but obviously this is an Aston Villa channel, so we're going to be talking about Aston Villa today, and it could get pretty goddamn messy. So as you can see on the screen, if you look at the stats, it would suggest that this was a snatch and run by Crystal Palace. They got battered the entire game by Aston Villa. They took their chances well, and it was a very, very lucky 3-0 victory. I am here to tell you, as all of you know, because you probably watched it similar to me, that this is just not the case. Forget the 12 corners. We did absolutely nothing from any of them. Forget the 71% possession. A majority of that was shared around our back four. Forget the 16 shots to their 9, the 5 on target to their 4. Well, I don't think we actually threatened their goal properly once, maybe once, or maybe even just once the entire game. We had absolutely zero goal threat. Crystal Palace had all the goal threat in the world. It could have been 4, they missed a penalty. It could have been 5. Jesus Christ, we got destroyed. So let's have a little talk about the lineup, the player ratings, and we're going to talk about the selection as well. So this is the lineup that Emery did go for, and grab your popcorn, put your seatbelts on, because we are going to be going through this for a little bit of time. Now, for me personally, this lineup was all wrong. It was obvious from the start that it was wrong. It was obvious from our previous games against Crystal Palace that this lineup would just be absolutely terribly wrong. And I'll tell you why he's done it. Because in possession, we were pretty much like this. If we just move some players around here. In possession, out of possession rather, pardon me, we played pretty much like that. A 6-3-1. Even the commentators called it out. Out of possession, we were just negative, right? And in possession, it got even worse. Because Watkins was pretty much our only width that entire game. He was floating out to the left-hand side in possession pretty much. Asensio would push up. And then you'd pretty much be looking like that, maybe at a push, a 4-4-2. But it was so narrow because Rodgers and McGinn had to come inside to get the ball. Even Asensio really was like floating around in these areas. That is literally what it looked like in possession. Even when we were forward on the pitch, you know, it was all here. It was McGinn and Rodgers tucking in. Asensio trying to get the space. Kamara and Tielemans really, really tight. Digne maybe there. Cash was, I don't even know. He was just floating around being an idiot the whole game, as he always is. We were like that in possession. Where's the width? We had no width. And Crystal Palace were just, I'm reaching out to the screen. I understand you can't see, but if I just circle it there, it was like 4v1 on Asensio and Rodgers in there. McGinn ghosted for a majority of the game, as he always does. I don't particularly rate him anymore. But yeah, they just overloaded us, and there was no width. Matty Cash is allergic to defending, allergic to shooting, allergic to putting in a cross. It's like he just gets the ball, runs, cuts back, passes it back to Konsa, and we go again. Oh, what's the point of you as a player? Please be sold in the summer, for God's sake. Anyway, let's get everyone back into position right now, and let's just go through it. Position for position, we'll do ratings and why I think it was wrong and what I would have done differently. Now, obviously, Unai Emery is a manager that has won everything almost in world football, apart from like the Champions League and La Liga. And did he win Liga with PSG? I can't even remember. But anyway, he's won the Europa League 3 times, so he probably knows what he's doing more than me. You know what I mean? I don't even have a coaching badge to my name. But we lined up like this. All right, let's get everyone in there. Let's just take a second. So, one of the most defensive lineups we probably could have gone for, and one of the lineups with the least width possible, pretty much. Now, here's a couple of obvious ones for me, right? Matty Cash offers 0 to this team. 0. And that's his rating. 0. He done nothing. He can't defend. He can't put a cross in to save his life. He doesn't get forward into good positions. Actually, that's a lie. He was in a good crossing position twice. This geezer does a Cruyff turn every single time and just passes it back to Konsa or Tielemans to get himself out of danger. When he's defending, does he like engaging the ball and blocking a cross? No, he's always looking over his shoulder. Oh, I'll cover him. Oh, Kamara, please come and help me and go and close down the man out wide. Close him down and stop the cross, Matty. Honestly, can someone get up like an Opta Joe's statistics for me and let me know how many crosses Matty Cash has allowed this season? I guarantee you he's in the top 3 for right backs of crosses allowed. He is allergic to closing down the ball and closing down crosses. I'm sick of him. Please get him out of this club in the summer. Like I say, I'm thankful for the last 5 years, what he's done for this club. He's been with us through thick and thin. He is not good enough to be in this lineup whatsoever. That's just my opinion. Anyway, we move on. Martinez, 5, I guess. He didn't do anything right. He didn't do anything wrong. Conceded the first shot on target again. Yes, it was a bit of a belter from Eze. There was a suggestion he could have done better. I'd need to watch the replays a little bit more to go through that. But anyway, back on Cash. Garcia should have started for me because Cash just offers us nothing. Dizazi's cup tied. I wouldn't have gone for 2 left footers in the middle in terms of Powell and Mings. Although Mings probably should have started. I think Garcia's more than capable. And guess what? The geezer can defend, and when he goes forward, he puts crosses into the bloody box. A bit of width. Width? That's actually, I've made up a new word there. A bit of whip and a bit of width. Anyway, Konsa, I'm going to have to give a 4. He didn't do anything particularly wrong, but he did get bullied a couple of times by Mateta. It should have been a goal. It wasn't a foul on Konsa when Mateta nicked the ball off him. It might have even been Sarr nicked the ball off of him and scored. We got very, very lucky because I don't think that was a foul at all. Again, the reason that Konsa was up against Mateta so much, and let's be honest, Konsa's a Rolls Royce of a defender. He's a very good defender and I rate him very highly. But Mateta is a different breed of centre forward, right? He's like 6'4", built like a brick poo-poo house. You know what I mean? I'm trying not to swear on this channel, so please, you know what I'm trying to say. He's physically fantastic, technically fantastic. Konsa can't deal with those types of attackers, in my opinion. He, even when we used to play against Haaland for Man City, he'd always start Diego Carlos, right? Because Carlos was better to deal with the likes of Haaland because he was more physical. And anyway, the reason that he had to do that job is because of this fraud next to him. At fault for one of the Crystal Palace goals, I believe it was the first goal, gave the ball away. Since he's come back from injury, I think he has been the most subpar defender I've seen, at centre-back anyway, for Villa. And I just don't understand the decision to start Powell today. Yes, we were always going to have more possession, which we did have. Powell hasn't even been using the ball very well recently. But again, you are against one of the most physical and brilliant centre-forwards in the Premier League. 17 goals this season in all competitions. A bullier of centre-backs. And you have, on the bench, one of the most physical centre-backs in the Premier League. 6'5", Tyrone Mings. Brilliant in the air, brilliant physically. The exact type of player you would want to counteract the likes of a Jean-Philippe Mateta. And he sat on the bench all game, and Pau Torres was the cause of one of their goals. Gave the ball away many, many times. Has no strength to him whatsoever. Don't know why he started. Luca Digne, again, a 2. Couldn't deal with Sarr or couldn't deal with any type of Crystal Palace counter-attack. Didn't really offer anything going forward either. Again, this game was screaming out for a Martson. His pace to deal with the likes of Sarr, and also to give us an extra bit of width, which we needed, and we're going to get onto that in a little bit, going forward. And Luca Digne, for me, is more than on his way out of this club. Kamara, I'm going to give a 5-2. Again, lost the ball a couple of times in midfield, didn't particularly do anything right, didn't particularly do anything wrong. A pretty slap bang average performance. A lot of these players bottled it for me again in the big game, like we have done many times we've seen in this Villa team. But then again, we were set up in such a defensive and negative way that it's really hard for these players to express themselves anyway. But Kamara was just pretty non-existent, so I can't really be too angry at him. Tielemans, I'm going to give a 3. Gave the ball away twice for a couple of their goals. Was getting caught in possession a lot. Just wasn't his type of game. A bad performance from Tielemans. There's nothing else to say about that. Rodgers, again, gets a 2. Similarly, I believe, to the Manchester City game. I think this geezer is so burnt out. I think he's just burnt out. He's played 50 games now this season. He's still a young lad. He's not used to this kind of demand at this type of level. And again, I feel a little bit sorry for him because he was better on the left when he got switched over to the left. I'm going to get onto that. But Rodgers is the type of player that needs a bit of room. He needs a bit of freedom. He needs those pockets to be able to pick up in. When we set up like this, it was, like I say, with him and Asensio, because McGinn was non-existent, him and Asensio, it was literally like 2... I tweeted it out. Go check out my Twitter, and we're going to get onto that as well. Don't get me wrong. It was like 2v5, him and Asensio, every time. Crystal Palace just crowded them out of the game. And because we were so narrow and compact and all of our players were behind the ball, what do you expect them to do anyway? McGinn, 0, forgot he was playing most of the game. Asensio, 2. Again, 2v5 in there. Didn't do anything at all. Watkins, for all the moaning about starting, a 1. He was non-existent again. Non-existent again. So we've gone through how I think the lineup and the tactics from Emery were all wrong, and it's the same story again. When we're not at Villa Park, when we're against the team that perhaps we don't have the best record against, Emery just bottles it and sets us up so defensively. It's an age-old story. Spurs at Villa Park, PSG first leg of the Champions League, this game now. What team did we get knocked out by in the Conference League? The Greek team. I've completely forgotten it. They've got Olympiacos last season. It's the same old. When we're away from home, we're inept tactically. And I think Emery just overthinks these games. Now, the subs. The subs. I'll throw some of my tweets up on the screen throughout this game. But literally from I think half time onwards, I was saying, can we just get Bailey and Marlon on? And Maatsen, because we need some width in this game. We have no width whatsoever. We're all down the middle and it's just not working and we're getting battered. Now, what happened to make the Maatsen and Bailey change? We have to go 2-0 down. At that point against Crystal Palace, it's too bloody late. The writing was on the wall when they scored their first disallowed goal for the foul that wasn't a foul, and when they missed their penalty. And then, guess what happens? Bailey comes on, he's our best player on that pitch. All of a sudden, we look like a little bit of a threat. Maatsen comes on, he's getting crosses into the box, he offers us some width. I don't know how we couldn't see it earlier. We needed wide players. Marlon comes on, even he's a little bit of a threat for like the 10-minute cameo that he gets at the end of the game. Rashford not playing, fair enough, he's injured. There's nothing you can do about that, but just because one winger's injured doesn't mean you have to drop all the rest of the bench. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of those players today should hold their heads down in shame. I'm thinking about you, Matty Cash, Pau Torres, Luca Digne. Kamara and Tielemans had a bad game, but the seasons that they've been having, I'll allow them one bad game. The other players should drag them up around them. Rodgers, burnt out as anything and having to play on the wing. I think he should just play in that number 10 pocket. Asensio, ghosted. 3 times Champions League winner, can't get it going against Crystal Palace. McGinn, that ain't a captain's performance. And you come out and you can say you're disappointed all you want, but you need to put it all on the pitch, and he's not been doing that recently. Watkins coming out in interviews, I'm just so angry that I'm on the bench. I just want to, and then you come out and drop a stinker, mate. A stinker. Honestly, some of the only players on that pitch that can be proud of what they've done is Bailey, Maatsen when he came on. And it's the same old story for Villa, and that's why. You know what it is? Everyone, I see the tweets, man. I see the tweets. Oh, we were 1 point against the relegation zone 3 years ago, so we need to be thankful, We're 7th, we got to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, got to the semi-final of the FA Cup. Enjoy that consistency, because I'm not happy with it. Enjoy that consistency, and guess what? We'll be a mediocre club forever. Do you know what I mean? You can't just be happy that where we are, when we keep on doing these same things in these big games when it matters, we ain't going to win a trophy like this, ever. Sorry. To go from finishing 4th last season and getting Champions League to this season, maybe just scraping the Conference League if we finish 7th. We're back in the lowest tier of European competition. No trophies to our name. I just don't know what to say. It's the same thing every single time. Emery and those players need to take a look at themselves. There's a couple of players that really need to go this summer. Some positions that need to change. We need a new striker. We need a new right back. We need another centre back, because I don't think Powell is up for it anymore. Obviously, we might have Naipan coming in. Fantastic. We need a new winger, I think, for the left-hand side if we're just going to refuse to play Rodgers out there. There's a lot that we still need to do to get to that next level. Yes, like I say, I'm thankful for the last few years, but these boys bottle it whenever it's needed, and I'm sick of it.